Hello everyone, welcome to the 12th episode of the Chicken Chess Club podcast. I'm French Grandmaster Laurent Fressinet and I'm joined by my dear colleagues and friends, Grandmaster Gustafsson and future, maybe, who knows, Deputy President Peter Heine Nielsen. How is life, Jan from Madrid?
I'm good. The tournament finished yesterday at the time of recording. 14 rounds, but yeah, I've had a good time in Madrid. I'm meeting all of Peter's friends and colleagues, and yeah, we had a good time doing the commentary. It's been nice here. Weather's good.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
So you have a list of Peter's friends? How does that work?
Everyone was here. No, like Magnus was here, Anish was here, Judit Polgar's here. There's a lot of chess all over town.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been intense. The passion for chess, the game that we all love so much, it's huge in Madrid.
Yeah.
They had this blitz tournament the other day with Magnus and Giri inside of a chess club, and was so crowded. I've never seen a chess club that crowded. Like hundreds of spectators. It was amazing.
Okay. Sounds good. And how about you, Peter? How's life? Where are you?
I'm still in Lithuania, so that's great. But different things, suffering from heat wave and such, and busy campaigning, obviously, and things like that. So been busy times, but generally good, I would say, in a way. So, and if you can hear my voice is a bit rusty, it's because of some moderate illness, a sickness at the moment. So it's a bit up and down. I mean, I'm not living on the high notes of Jan, but more sort of hanging at home. And of course, to keep updating people about my suitcase. That was good news. It was located and it was sent from Charlotte back to Frankfurt. But unfortunately from Frankfurt, instead of sending it to Vilnius, where I live, they send it back to Charlotte. So, we will see how that goes. But that is also taking up a considerable time of my life at the moment.
At this point, it makes sense for you to just go to Charlotte and pick it up, no? I mean, it will save energy.
I generally tend to agree with you, but it's also... Yeah, maybe you're right, but how am I going to get it back from Charlotte? It's too big to... I mean, I check it in again, or what? I mean, I could lose it. Yeah. Well, I understand, but... No, but what really impresses me that they call me from Charlotte Airport, and they actually tell me, we have your luggage, we're going to send it all the way to Vilnius. And I can see it updated in my file, but at some point the AI takes over and says, no, we have to send it back to Charlotte, right? So, I mean, now they're giving it a second shot. I guess when we get to doing it 5 times, I will call them again. But maybe I'll just loop eternally like this. I don't know. We'll see.
I think we should do a special episode just on your...
I agree. Yeah.
How about, I mean, you're tweeting more than usual, which is already according to your, I mean, to what you are doing. I mean, like, to the normal, regular tweeting, let's say, habits is kind of, you're like tweeting like a machine. I mean, I have to follow that for...
I figured out that you can make this thing called threads. So instead of just limiting yourself to, 160 digits, you can multiply that with 25 by making a thread. That is news to me. So I'm trying to do that to sort of, for people like yourself who would like to have even more details about my point of views, I have managed to do that. And I put up pictures and stuff like this.
I have to prepare this podcast, so I have to read all your tweets. I guess, I'm not sure, Jan, you are doing that as well?
Sometimes I do, but 5 tweets in usually. I need to do something else.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the candidates, of course. And Jan Nepomniachtchi, who was leading, just won the candidates tournament with 1 round to spare, almost 2, because he was already in a 2-point lead with 2 rounds to go. So over 2 players, so he just had to make a draw or... one of the 2 players had to win the last 2 games, so it was basically it after round 12. So amazing performance from Jan, who just took all his chances and won the tournament very convincingly. I don't know.
Yeah, congratulations to him. Very hard to argue with +5, no losses, very stable performance in the second half. Didn't mind making draws when it helped him, and he saw everybody else thinking they're in must-win situations. Whenever someone came remotely close, they would suffer a setback, while Nepomniachtchi just looked in control, especially in the second half when people tried to play for a win or against him or spice it up. He was ready, won a nice game with black against your boy Alireza, who pushed g4, h4, maybe a little optimistic. Then when Rapport tried to play the Sicilian, tried to make him work for it, he also looked very comfortable. He knew the theory, just simplified, got a better position where he was in no trouble. No, just a very, very strong performance. Congratulations.
Yeah, much better actually than okay, sorry Peter, it was much better than 2 years ago where he lost a game in the last round of the first part and didn't make even close to the same score. I think it was +3, so yeah, that's a very impressive performance. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Please.
No, I mean, I even tweeted that it was very well deserved, but in case you missed it, I can sort of give up my arguments. That, well, of course, it makes no sense debating if it's well deserved. He won by such a huge margin. Of course, you can point to some moments where he got things a bit easy and such, but I mean, it's a 2-point margin. That's a ridiculously big margin. So it's an overwhelming victory and incredibly deserved. There's nothing to debate about that. I think also, well, if you look the distance between first and second to I don't know which number, I mean, 2 points is a long distance. I mean, it could almost be to last place if I'm not mistaken. So that was a surprising but overwhelming victory in my opinion, and he deserves a lot of credit for that, no doubt.
Yeah, we didn't get it at all in our predictions. I saw Jan this morning who was retweeting what you retweeted, Peter, very proudly, because you predicted Caruana, so you were very proud after let's say the first half, while Jan said Ding, which at the end of the tournament came second, and
my boy Ding with the comeback.
Yeah, that was.
We'll have to talk about it.
That was nice, and I predicted Alireza, which was not even close. Let's face it. Yeah, so second place. That's it for Nepo. So he gets the match, but doesn't know against whom. Basically, he clearly said that he wanted a rematch, which is very understandable and which fits his. Let's say ambitious way of living his chess life.
So you expected him to say, no, I'm done, I just won the candidates, I don't want a rematch?
Yeah.
That news.
No, I mean, like, maybe he has better odds against Ding. I think he would have better odds against Ding, so...
yeah, but whatever happens, I think he chose the right answer. That
he wants the match.
No, I understand. But do you think he really wants this match, or he wants Ding?
I think he's a confident guy, and the last match hurt, and he wants to show it wasn't chess, but he was, was other factors. That's what he's been saying.
It was my point.
So I think he genuinely wants to play Magnus.
Which is not so obvious.
He'll take any match.
I mean, chickens like us, we would think, okay, this guy Magnus is kind of maybe too good. Let's go for Ding. I mean, he can be jet lagged the first few rounds.
Ding is also pretty good.
Chickens like us could also think that if you lose to Magnus, you're the second best in the world. If you lose to Ding, well, you start drop even further.
That's not chickens, that's a loser mentality, no?
Okay. We should mix up these things, that's true.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I will make my Chess Losers podcast on my own, it seems.
Yeah, please.
Can't wait.
After Chennai, maybe.
Yeah. Good one.
Shall we, before we move on to potential match talk, we can go through all the participants of the candidates and call them winners, losers, something.
Yeah, so, I had 4 categories, actually. Like big losers, losers, winners, and yet to be decided. Because for Ding, and it's exactly the second place, I mean, for Ding, for me, he's a loser if he doesn't get the match. Because he was a favorite before the tournament, one of the top favorite. And if he gets the match, of course, then he's a winner. So it's all in Magnus and maybe Fide hands to determine if Ding is a winner or not.
Yeah, so, okay, with Nepomniachtchi, I guess there's not a big debate. He's, of course, a winner, so we can jump straight into Ding. I agree with you, actually.
Oh.
Of course, to keep the suspense till we get to Alireza.
Yeah. So
No, I agree with you. I think for Ding, the goal had to be to qualify for a match. If second place accomplishes that, he's a winner. If not, it's hard to call him a loser because he showed so much spirit. Poor Ding arrives here 2 days before the tournament, has a horrible start where he said himself he couldn't calculate at all, jet lag and so on. He's alone in Madrid, doesn't have anybody to hang out with. And then he wins 4 of his last 6 games. Like, he showed his spirit and also his chess class, I mean, I have to say.
Exactly.
His technique and how he defended against Fabi. Like, he's an amazing, amazing player.
that's exactly my point.
I was happy to see
That's
him
why I'm calling him
come
a
up.
loser, because I think he's the best player in this field. So, I mean, like, he doesn't win
not
the
of
tournament,
course.
so
No.
for me, it's just it's really such a pity. And yeah, it cannot be considered as a success when you are. I think it's much better than all. I mean, like, I think it's much better than Nepo. I mean, that's my personal opinion. But he has much higher class, let's say, and not much, but higher class.
See that
And,
you are trying to
yeah,
hedge your bets. You are willing to work on any team against Nepom, yeah?
Not at all. I mean, like,
No.
I think Ding and Magnus are clear number 1 for Magnus and clear number 2 for Ding. That's
Those are your top 2 choices for teams you would work on.
and number 3 is clearly Nepo. He's clear number 3 now. That Fabi will come back to it later. But so I don't know what's
Okay.
your opinion, Peter. Give us.
I have Ding as, well, the 4 categories, I have him number 2. Not big winner, but I still think that compared to average, he's kind of a winner because he might get a match and he boosted his reputation. But of course, I'm probably biased by the horrible start he had in a way and such. But still, I think for Ding, it was overall a positive thing, I would say. So, I mean, I would say having as a minor winner, but it depends. I don't know if I fully agree with that he sort of completely manifested himself as number 2. I still think Caruana has some potential to challenge that, or even Nepom, but I generally agree with most of what you said, I would say.
His technique, he won this decisive game against Nakamura, where I think a lot was on Nakamura as well, and I think Nakamura talked about it. He was nervous in certain spots, or his rhythm wasn't good. He played a little too quickly. Earlier, he could have equalized once or twice with Rook D8 and some moves exchanging more pieces. But Ding's technique afterwards, after he got an advantage, I found amazing. Like, so much control, not giving any chances.
You're praising him for the win against Caruana. I thought that he was also very much worse at some point, unnecessarily and such.
Well, he blundered. He blundered at some point. I'm not sure how much people are into chess moves, but it was a tough game. I think he played well, and then he thought he was winning a pawn with some g5, queen e5, and he blundered a trick. Then he was much worse, but then he defended amazingly. I think almost anybody collapses there against Fabi, and he hung in there and even managed, okay, of course a lot is on Fabi, to turn it around when Fabi, was pushing a little too hard. Also finished very nicely there. No, I was impressed with Ding. Of course, he lost this horrible game against Rajabov with white in 24 moves, where he was dead lost after, 18 moves. That was a setback, so he couldn't compete for first. But also that he came back from that. Because we've seen a lot of people collapse along the way. But let's continue with our
such a. I mean,
our
just
rankings.
one more point. I mean, such a pity you mentioned the game against Rajabov, but of course the first round against Nepo. I mean, he lost 2 horrible games as white, which cost him the fight for first place, basically.
Yeah. That's how it can go. So who's next? Rajabov
So it's
has to be a winner.
so he edged out Nakamura on tiebreak, so he's third. And obviously, we didn't expect him to do that well, especially after the start. I mean, like, around 50% was likely, but now he made +1 and came back from -2, so this is very, very impressive. And of course, I mean, he didn't. It's clear that he was not playing to win the tournaments, and he showed a very strong performance.
Or to finish second. I was impressed. He did the Chicken Chess Club proud in the penultimate round when Fabi surprised him in the opening in the Catalan with some interesting idea. But either of them has to win to have a theoretical chance for second, and Rajab just completely wraps it up, so they're both out. I was very impressed. I would have done the same.
Yeah. Oh, this is stellar chicken work, right? I mean, yeah. And also, I mean, there was a theoretical chance. I think it just took a bunch of...
No, if either wins, they are very much
heavily, but even if they draw, then I think if Nakamura hadn't won, right? Then actually Nakamura being a draw and Radja winning with black as he did would have been enough for him. So, I mean, the dream lived. Sorry? I mean, I didn't follow the games. I was mainly caring about all the different match scenarios. You can check out my... Again, I get the impression you're not reading my tweets very carefully, but...
Yeah, I did. I mean, that was... You were right, not to do it.
So usually it says something like, okay, I miscalculated, but my point still stands.
No, that was once when I had an embarrassing typo, but yes, exactly, my point still stands. That's what you should pay attention.
You should put that on your Twitter profile, actually.
yeah, you do actually.
Yeah,
you do read my tweets.
But embarrassing typo.
Anyway.
Okay, Nakamura.
No. I didn't get to speak on Radjabov.
Yeah, please.
Please speak.
Yeah. I mean, he's of course a big winner. And as this is a political campaign podcast, I will also point out that third spot could give him a match, right? I mean, if Magnus declines, then Nepomniachtchi could actually be sanctioned at that point. So
then you ban Nepomniachtchi, and then there's your...
I'm not gonna ban him, but for instance, if you take the Polish sports minister Kamil Bortniczuk, he was basically stating 3 days ago that 33 countries, including your own countries, are signing documents to ban Russian sports persons. I'm not particularly talking in favor of that. I'm just talking that that exists as well. So, I mean, well, a lot of things can happen in half a year, and one of them could be that. So the third spot is not completely without value. It's just what I'm trying to say.
I didn't take that into
account.
I thought about it, and actually, his strategy to go for counter-attack. I mean, if he wouldn't lose his first two games, I mean, actually, he had chances to win the candidates. If you are with hindsight, I mean, look how he beat Ding and Rapport as black. I mean, that was very impressive. So, on a good day...
So at what point did he have chances to win the candidates?
In general. I mean, his strategy is to just wait for his chances. I mean, I thought he had 0 chances before the tournament, but actually now that the tournament took place, I thought that in general, I mean, not in the tournament, of course, he had no chances. But in general, he has chances, because...
So you think, with hindsight, before the tournament, he would have chances, even though he
had
no
chances? I made a mistake with my judgment that he had 0 chances, actually.
But he didn't play for wins necessarily, no, and people... I mean, he played great chess, I'm not going to try to talk it down. But also we've had everybody committing suicide, everybody not called Nepo, in many games in the second half. No, in general. I thought it was a great success for the Chicken Chess Club this tournament, because playing for a win, it backfired every game.
Justice.
I was thrilled. Justice. And Nepomniachtchi even said that he never had to be in that situation, because he had this great start to play for a win, and he could conserve some energy. That's why his event went so smoothly. And if we look at Fabi, Alireza, Ding with white against Radjabov, he just plays chess. No, it's not like he did something crazy. He just played a bad game.
Ding is being Ding, right? But I think the rest is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Nakamura. Nakamura?
Yeah.
Who's having construction in their house, by the way?
It's me.
It's
close on the street. I can't do much about it. I mean, the window is closed. It's how it works in Paris during summer. They are doing construction all over the place. And that's why German tourists, when they come to Paris, they are amazed by this city and are praising Paris.
Paris syndrome, it's called.
Yeah, Paris syndrome. So, I will mute myself when I'm not going to talk, maybe. So I will give my opinion about Naka. He's, of course, for me, a winner. Not a big one, because he lost the last game against Ding, but he showed a good performance. I don't think he was there to win or to qualify. He would have played that game as black against Nepo, because, well, I mean, it's obvious that Nepo would have been nervous for that game. Probably he wouldn't win the game, but it had to be tied, I think, in my opinion. So, nothing to lose.
I thought he rightly evaluated that second place might be good and made some good decisions. And this playing for a win, it always sounds nice, but how has it worked in the tournament? Also, like, Rapport played for a win against Nepo. It doesn't mean you get a chance if you just play one c5. So I thought he did things smartly, and I was overall impressed with Hikaru, I have to say. But he looked very stable, like his preparation. Okay, with Black I always criticize Black preparation and being a bit predictable, but overall was good. He put quite some pressure with White, and he's just, yeah, he looked very, very stable and took his chances when they came. Like, he was shaky in the end of his well against Duda. He blundered the spawn, and it was very up and down, and Duda self-destructed. But overall, I think for Hikaru and also his many fans, this must have been very successful to have him in the race for second place and a good performance. Of course, it's heartbreaking for him to lose the last round, so I'm not sure we can call him a winner or he will consider himself one. Obviously, second place would have been amazing, but it was a good performance.
For me to add this thing about the game with Nepomniachtchi, I really think from a mathematical point of view, it depends so heavily on how you evaluate the value of second place. If second place has considerable value, then I thought that it made a lot of sense, because he was basically securing better tiebreaks than Ding, which meant that he would get to a situation where a draw would most likely be enough against Ding. And even if he beat Nepomniachtchi, he still had to catch up with him, if I remember correctly, and such. So it was a sort of, difficult situation, but I think if you evaluate second place as something that's worth playing for, it had some reason. I think that, yeah, he's mixed. He's generally a winner in the sense that he's now much more recognized as one of the world's top players than before. He's actually proven himself. He qualified surprisingly, and he held his own and did very, very well. I mean, no one will debate if Nakamura is a top 10 player. He obviously is. There's no doubt about that. But of course, he's going to be disappointed that he missed out on not making a draw in the last round and clinching second, especially when he had numerous chances to do it and such. So I will probably even demote him to a slight loser in the sense that he was so close on something that would have been quite groundbreaking for him, and then messed up at the last hurdle. So he's a difficult case to define, I would say.
I have a question for you, Magnus Carlsen experts. Do you think it's less... Okay, we'll get to it later, but just while we're on Nakamura. Do you think it's less likely Magnus plays now? Because he thinks, okay, Nepomniachtchi Ding, I'd be okay with that, but world champion Nakamura, I wouldn't be able to handle. So I have to play. Do you think that's a factor?
No.
I think it is.
Alright.
Of course it is. I mean, like, you have to think. I mean, Nepo Naka, really? We're going to watch this? I mean, come on. Let's be serious. So, yeah, no, I still disagree. He should have played that game against... you are really more chicken by heart than me. I mean, like, you think about the second place. Like, first of all, it was not guaranteed at all. And, of course, why not to play? I mean, it's when you are playing, it doesn't mean necessarily that you are going to lose. I mean, like, you just play some Hauser, what did Richie, and something. I mean, you try something. I mean, imagine Magnus in this situation. Of course he would play.
Yeah.
You try something.
I agree, but I mean, it's. I think it's quite.
But also always the argument. Imagine Magnus would do that. It's also different for Magnus because he's better.
Yeah,
than
it
so
doesn't.
His EV is much higher when he plays for a win with Black. Well, if you're not necessarily stronger than your opponent,
I think
it could just be a very bad.
There is a famous Kortsmar
imagine Magnus. Okay.
famous Kortsmar quote on that. I think that. Someone played the King's Indian, and Carlsen say you shouldn't play the King's Indian like that, and he says, well, Fischer played it, and he said, yeah, but you can't play like Fischer. And I think that, well, you have to stick to what's realistic, and I think, well, Nakamura could also be tired and such. I'm pretty sure Nakamura is a very, very logical and smart guy.
And you don't think that Nepo would be nervous?
Of course.
Game? You don't think he was nervous against
I think he was nervous in other games.
No, he was not nervous against Rapport. He was 2 points up and 2 rounds to go, so he was not nervous at all. I mean, he knew. I mean, like, everyone knew that it was over. With 3 rounds to go, 2 points, let's say if Naka wins, then it's only 1 point difference, so he could be nervous. I'm not saying he would be nervous, that he would lose the game, but it would make sense, I mean, to at least try some Spanish, some random Spanish. I don't know, try something. I mean,
but again,
I don't know. Okay.
For
you're really a table chicken, Jan.
Point taken. Explain us your strategy in the last round of the French Rapid Championship again.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, like, I was leading.
So you made a draw and hope you had the better tiebreak, right? Yeah.
I had a better
And the
tiebreak.
other guy wouldn't win, no?
No, I had a better tiebreak, so it was clear that only if Lagarde would win, I would finish second. Otherwise, I would finish first. So that makes...
But what would Magnus have done? You think he would have made a quick draw? Hope Lagarde doesn't win?
Yeah, but
You know-
that's a different story. I mean, like, odds
No,
are
but
very good for me
that's
if
a
I
good
make a
argument.
draw. I mean,
But I
come on.
mean, you were wide
You
against
are
a
my
lower...
chicken of the week, Jan. You are replacing. You are the chicken by default. You are replacing
No,
me.
no.
Anyways, they are making too much
Give
noise.
me a break.
I'm muting
Always
myself.
thought, well, of course, he should play. He should play for a win with Black. I've never seen it. He should play the Rouser without having a clue, and then he will just crush Nepo because Nepo will be very nervous here, and Nepo's locking up Matt.
Come on, Naka played
That's like a good one.
random Spanish all his life. He knows online. I mean, like he can choose something.
All right, shall we move
I
on?
think so.
Let's move on to the unhappy section, I would assume.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Yeah.
Fabi? -1. Oof.
Yeah.
He scored 1.5 out of 7 in the second half. 1.5 out of 7. That's pretty rough. Poor Fabi, I feel bad for him. Obviously, he's a loser. He was one of the
Yeah.
big favorites and also our, I think, top favorite together with Ding to win the event. And he just completely collapsed after this game. He lost to Nakamura in round 8. I don't know. Do we think Fabi's gonna be back and fight for winning the candidates and get another match? Like this must be so rough for him.
Yeah, first of all, he had the best prep in the tournament. I mean, he showed many ideas. That was amazing. Just a lot of work was done. That's very obvious. But he lost all these long games. And the last one to Alireza. So it's very disappointing. And now it will be very difficult for him. It's my guess to win another candidate, to qualify. Why not? But now I don't see him coming back, and of course I agree he's a big loser, and that was very disappointing because he worked so hard before the tournament. That's very obvious.
Yeah, and he was fighting throughout. You could just see it wasn't him anymore. Like it was rough to watch.
I agree that he's sort of a big loser. I don't agree that he will not come back. I mean, well, if they play the tournament over again, I will still list him as the favorite together with Ding and such. He's just a strong player. He's well prepared. He works hard. I still think he's motivated and such. So I wouldn't say my overall assessment of him has changed dramatically. But of course, his chess playing skills seem to decline in the latter part of the event, and that's of course somewhat worrying. But I still think he's an obvious top 4 player in the world.
Yeah, there may be surprise, or I don't know. I don't know what the reasons were, but I always thought of Fabi very resilient and stable mentally as well. But here he just collapsed after losing that one game. To Nakamura, I'm not sure if it was a fatigue issue as well, or a bit of this, okay, I have to keep winning games to keep track with Nepomniachtchi. He played this line I hate against Duda, this bishop e6 in the Italian, bishop e6, fe6, that structure, where white goes b4, a4. Probably trying to mix it up, but just lost a nice game by Duda, actually. And it just, the wheels came off. Clearly, you could see in the last rounds he couldn't play anymore. Like against Alireza, this position he lost with the Eternal Knight on e4, and he's worse in like 3-4 moves.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible for him to come back, but I think it will be a serious setback, and it will be very difficult. But he showed that he was always working very hard, and he's very motivated, obviously. But yeah, those long games were very, let's say, I mean, all of them he lost. I mean, like in the last, after 6 hours of play, I mean, he was just dead and making so many mistakes that it's very worrying for Fabi, I would say.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We should praise, you mentioned already, his preparation was so amazing for us. Theory nerds, what he did against Nepomniachtchi with black, also what he did against Rajabov with black, I think low-key is a very, very cool idea. And every game he's showing fresh, interesting stuff, the white idea against the Petrov. Like, you could go through all the games. His preparation was amazing and really a level ahead of everybody else because he's so good at surprising and still having depth behind it. So it was even more rough to see how much he collapsed.
Amazing. Only this. I thought we would see. When I saw knight g7 against Ding, he was blitzing out all these moves. I thought, okay, wow, we are going to see
But
something.
that line is nothing. It's all in my course. Like My course ends with knight g7, rook f8, and black is fine because b3 is coming. It's. I was actually surprised he went for this.
I thought something big was coming up, and actually thought for 40 minutes, which was very unimpressive. But that was the only prep which basically went wrong.
That one went wrong. Yeah,
you're telling me that Ding is buying your courses?
I would guess so. No,
he
even went b3.
He's a serious guy.
The idea.
Fair enough. No.
The alternative is Ding also has engines, but that's a lot.
Yeah. No, also, why does he need to bring a
to
team when he can just download? Yeah, that's fair enough.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Okay, who's next?
My boy Alireza. Okay, it was just a disaster. Even he collapsed simply in the middle of the tournament. Even played this famous bullet night where he was playing hyper bullet against Naroditsky online for I think 3 or 4 hours, 250.
But just 240 games, no, it wasn't.
Sorry?
240 games or 260?
Yeah, maybe something like that. But anyway, I mean, like, people are criticizing him, but I'm sorry, but his tournament was gone. And Alireza, for him, it was that it's about winning or nothing. So he understood at that point that it was nothing, and he just wanted to change his mood. So, I mean, I kind of understand. Of course, the next day he played a very poor game against Nepo, which was, again, the luck, the winner's luck. I mean, because only one day Alireza did that. But overall, very disappointing. Luckily, he won the very last game against Fabi, which at least gives some little positive emotions, I guess. And for the first time, I think, he's beating one of the guy from the very top, because he has a table score against Magnus, he has a table score against Nepo. He lost the first game against Fabi, so this is the first time he's beating someone from the top.
You can't sell the victory against the corpse of Fabi in the last round, who just scored 1 out of 6, wants to go home as the big success. He finally beat the top player. I mean, that wasn't the real Fabi.
Yeah, I understand, but still, I mean, it's better than. I mean, winning is better than losing.
No, of course, for overall feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anish had an interesting point on the broadcast. He said that, Alireza, he just takes the draw out of the equation. He wins or he loses, and that can be dangerous when he plays against stronger players, like in this event. I don't know, it looked like something was a little off with his judgment of risk-reward ratio. No, of course, it's a chicken talking again. But this move he played against Nakamura, GF6, and also the whole game he looked... Yeah, it was such a good game. And then against Nepomniachtchi, it was cool to play G4, H4. But also, if you think about it, all your pieces are back there. The guy goes H6, Knight G6. It looks completely ridiculous, no?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he's still just too used to crushing 2600 players, and he has to adjust a little to what he can get.
So not only you are hanging out with Giri, you are just even mentioning him and quoting him during the podcast, yeah?
I did commentary with Giri for 2 hours.
Yeah, so I'm not going to argue with Giri about fighting spirit and his keyword and so on. He's a great expert on such, so it's good. It's good. We agree with. I agree at least with Anish. I don't know how about you. How do you feel about that, Peter?
That can be a special episode as well. I would rather talk about Alireza. Well, I think that the impression one gets is that maybe he's not good enough to win the candidates. As simple as that. There was too many weak moments in and such, and that it's not unreasonable. The guy is very young and such, but I think many sat with that impression that he simply has to improve, and obviously he has plenty of time for that and such. But well, I think he prepared incredibly hard, took half year off, and so on and so forth. But it didn't work out, and well, I think also. Well, I think at some point Larsen was asked why he didn't become the world champion, and the answer was that there was better players than me. And so far, that's still Alireza's problem. But I think that he's not good enough yet. He might become that, but we will see.
But it wasn't obvious to us before the tournament, no?
Well, I said I don't know. He might not be, but I think that that one has been answered, right? That we didn't know. We didn't have enough info. I think now we do, right?
I disagree. I think this is the kind of guy, if he starts to win one or two games, then he can get very, very confident and start to play like a machine and start to win every game. I mean, like, of course, he did it in European Championship where it was weaker opposition, so one has to give some credit to Giri, of course, but I think he's pushing so much that he can put pressure anyone, almost everyone in the world, and he could win, let's say, against Duda, Rapport. He can win both games against them if he's on a rush. I mean, it's clear for me. And Rajabov, for instance. I mean, why not?
Yeah, but he also puts pressure on himself. No, that's the point. It's not like he can be solid and push in some games he has this full gear as in full gear forward, and such a long tournament, this time clearly backfired.
Yeah.
What do we know about his preparation? He refused to play in a lot of tournaments like Vaikanze and so on.
Not
focus on preparing. Laurent, you have some insight.
He refused to play only in Vaikanze actually. There's no tournaments for him. I mean, Norway chess was too close to the candidates, and when I talked to him the last time, he was afraid that he had no tournaments, and then he got this invitation for Grand Chess 2. So we know now it's so we know how with whom actually he prepared. Now it became like public knowledge. So it was Kramnik and Cheparinov at the very least. So Kramnik had this. I don't know. We will come back to Kramnik later, or how do we do? How we talk?
Sure, but how do you know? Your spy spotted them on the beach?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, Maze. So Kramnik on some beach in the south of France, and was a bit surprised, and then he started to talk to him, and he said, "Sure, I'm training with Alireza," and then Maze just visited them in their house. They were renting for one of the training camps. So that's not completely public here. I mean, Maze came to my show and said it. So.
But Kramnik, he wasn't so nice on his pupil then in his public comments, no?
So the big question now is, are they still working together, or maybe Kramnik got fired and got angry with Alireza because he said he didn't have the understanding of world number 2 or number 3 in the world, that it was something wrong with that. I mean, something really not nice. So are they still working together? I mean, like, it would be a bit weird to go against your boss like that. I mean, we would never do that. That's for sure. Never. And we would be fired in the second, yeah? I mean, in the same second, which actually would be, I think, pretty fair. So I don't know, but...
But Magnus doesn't have the understanding of the number 2 or number 3 in the world.
That's true. Yeah. That's true as well. So I don't know how it works, if they got some arguments, or if they are still working together, but then it's a very weird way to do it, I would say. I don't know. I have no information.
We need you to keep us posted. Like, I know you have your sources and
Go for a walk on the beach. Check it out.
Yeah.
But avoid nude beaches.
Yeah, of course.
Please.
Yeah, so I don't know what you guys think about it, if it's on a purely ethical point of view. Maybe Peter.
I don't think it matters too much. I was a bit curious to hear, because, of course, we knew about that from our secret sources, so the comments were a bit strange, but he's also not wrong that the understanding Alireza showed in this tournament didn't look like world class. I'm not sure if it's understanding or the mode, the risk-reward ratio, but some of the games, they look tough. Maybe he knows it's not good and he just thinks he can get away with it because he's so sharp and he underestimated everybody else a little bit. So I'm not sure if it's understanding or eagerness to spice it up, but it didn't look good.
If he's his coach, it's a bit puzzling, else he can say whatever he wants. I don't know.
I mean, it was actually it was his coach like 1 month ago.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, there's a training camp, so I don't know about now, but 1 month ago it was okay. So this is just weird.
I've never been in a situation where that would be a reasonable statement, so I don't know. But, yeah. And anyway,
all right.
A couple of
let's move
down the list. Duda and Rapport. Maybe we can do them
Poor
together. I mean,
Yeah, we can do.
Yeah, a bit similar, but go ahead.
They are sharing the last place, so of course they are losers. But in another way, I hope they learned a lot from their first experience in candidates. But of course, you have to consider them as losers. But let's see in the future, because they can definitely they are both incredibly young, and they can for sure they will have chances to come back. I hope it was a good learning experience for both of them, but who knows?
well,
Only
I
future will
would
tell.
say that they are losers, but not necessarily big losers. They both somehow managed to create interesting games. They didn't seem completely out of place. I mean, well, let's take Radjabov in 2013. There he had an incredibly hard time, and now he sort of actually did very well, right? But I wouldn't say that they completely collapsed in any way. So, but of course, maybe
You wouldn't say Duda collapsed? I was watching him on the last 5 rounds. He was just sitting there shaking his head, like being miserable. He killed.
No, I'm just saying that
I think he very
-3
much
is a
collapsed.
bad score, but it's not completely outrageous in a way.
No, the final result is not.
But
terrible,
of course,
in the moment, you don't think of it as a learning experience.
it's-
You think, I'm such an idiot. How could I miss D5, CD, Rook C2, Bishop D6?
I agree.
And
I
you
would
could
say
see how
maybe for
broken it
Rapport is, I mean, him we were sort of debating as someone who really started looking like an absolute elite player, and that sort of image is a bit shattered after this event, I would still say, right? But he
I still think his creativity and understanding might be very elite, but it's not the full
It didn't
package
come
yet.
to- it didn't
Yet,
co-
yeah, with the
it
choices.
didn't come
and
together in
getting the
terms of
positions.
materializing his points, right? So
Yeah.
I think we kind of
I mean,
agree.
to slightly disagree with Jan. He was shaking his head. Duda was shaking his head before playing the winning move against Fabi. So I mean, like, you shouldn't over-interpret how he was behaving. It doesn't look.
No, but come on, you could tell. I was watching his camera a lot. He always had these long games, and he looked so miserable.
Yeah,
You can tell.
yeah, but yeah, of
And also, he looked very tired, which is very understandable in the first candidates. Like, of course, he has energy. He's a World Cup winner, but I think, you could imagine this tournament getting to you. There's not that many breaks, and if things don't go well, must be incredibly
Yeah,
tough.
it's tough. You're sitting there, and I know, of course, I agree. Yeah, so
He has chances. In the first round, he was completely winning against Richie. If he wins that one, maybe his whole tournament takes a different path. You never know. But yeah, those were the candidates 2022. What's next? Do we have new info or thoughts on Magnus playing the match, not playing the match? The local press here, I think El País reported that he had a meeting with Dvorkovic to talk about changes.
Moskovic and Sutowski,
format.
you will be. Oof.
That's not what the media reported. I'm sure Peter
No,
has
that is what
insights
Sotowski
on.
reported. So there is definitely media reporting that. So, I mean,
My question, by the way, is because I read in this report in El País that a source very close to Magnus Carlsen and to FIDE reported. So I was asking myself, who's a source that's very close to Magnus Carlsen and to FIDE? Peter.
it's not me. I really think that sort of things that should be confidential and such. So it's
No, I wasn't seriously.
No,
implying
no,
it
I
with
also-
you.
I also
But,
saw it.
I found it a bit humorous. Like if it's behind closed doors, so where's that source very close to Magnus and to FIDE? That tells us everything.
I don't know. But it's a good. No,
So
I
mysterious.
noticed these things as well and such. No, I think generally on this subject, my policy is that it's important to be sort of confidential when you should be confidential and such. So I have absolutely nothing to.
So you know stuff.
Not necessarily, but I
No
think
stuff.
one shouldn't start profiling oneself that one has information. And such.
But don't we think that this is just a weird meeting? Like at the end of the candidates, why not like at the end of the previous World Championship match, you start discussing the future of because apparently they were talking. I mean, according to Sutowski, they were talking about format and that Magnus wanted a change and so on. Which is, I mean, like of course the world champion should be able to offer. To give his opinion, to discuss with FIDE. I mean, it's all very much fine, according to me, but it comes really late because, let's say, I mean, it could be. I don't think there is any format better for Magnus or for Nepo in that match. I mean, but it's just very weird when you know already the challenger to start discussing the change of format.
But do you know there's been no conversation before? Like Magnus has been fairly open about his position now, and I don't know if they haven't been in touch. It's just that the whole chess world is in Madrid now, so it seems natural they would talk.
No, but why? I mean, like, so you're going to change the rules in the middle of a cycle? I mean,
I don't think that's going to happen, and this, at least to me, it was a bit news that he was...
you talk... Well, they just changed the format of the female candidates in the middle of the cycle and such. This is... they're very capable of doing. Well, in my opinion... Well, there is a month until an election. It's a strange time to do these kind of things. There is a democratic mandate running out. I really think that it would be normal to postpone it till after that. They could even have the Congress make decision on it. This is completely normal. This was done in 74 and 75, if I remember correctly, when it was relevant and such. I think it's strange to have negotiations at this exact point, because it will always be part of elections and such, and it generally shouldn't be, in my opinion. Or at least it should be done in a transparent way, just to use a random word.
So you think these things should be incredibly confidential, but in a transparent way?
No, I think it should be either. I mean, either it's done in confidence, but I think in general, of course, there is elections in 1 month. I mean, if you have to make serious changes, you should ask the Congress. That is my principal point of view. There's no doubt about that.
But just one question.
Well, they did that in 75.
I want to go. I will defend Peter when with what's wrong with FIDE. I will be on his side. But now I have a question for.
We'll get that.
I have first a question for you, Peter. So can you imagine, like, let's say you are elected, so summer is coming in Chennai, and Peter, Heine, Nielsen and his team and Andrei Bayesh-Polets are elected. Can you imagine yourself going to talk with Bayesh-Polets and let's say some new general director, or maybe you will keep Sutovsky, I don't know, but I have a small guess on that. Can you imagine going there and talking to Magnus about the change of format? I mean, like, you have to resign from one of the two. I mean, it's not.
It's obvious that if I am FIDE deputy president, I will not have anything to do with these negotiations if I work for Magnus. So I've stated numerous times that's how it should be done. But I mean, there is already these problems. For instance, those who makes the rule for the female candidates tournament, as far as I understand, one of them is married to one of the players, right? I mean, I think that we would treat it much better than it's done now with such things.
So let me give you a different scenario. FIDE president Bayesh-Polets is at the candidates tournament, and world champion Magnus Carlsen shows up, and Magnus says, "Hey, Andrei, do you have a minute to talk?" Bayesh-Polets, he should say no. He should say no. It's election period, and please wait for Congress.
No, I don't think that's how it works and such.
But that's how it should work. No, that's what he just said.
I think he's not elected yet. There is a difference from actually being a candidate running for something or being the actual president. I think there's a huge...
So the actual president, Dvorkovich, when Magnus says, "Do you have a minute to talk?" he should say, "No, it's election period."
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it would make sense that if they want to change things, they should put it in the Congress, as they did in 75 in Bergen and such.
Of course, we all remember Bergen 75.
I hope we do. I mean, it was... they was also meeting in 74, but then they had an extraordinary Congress in Bergen.
I know. 74 really set the table for 75.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, no.
Yeah, but actually Peter was the only one to be born at that time, so it's normal.
Fair enough.
Remembers better than us. But
I was tweeting a lot at the age of 2, but yes.
Okay, what else?
I will defend again. I will take the position of Peter. I mean, like, what is very annoying that Sutovsky is giving an interview after that about his talk to Magnus. I mean, why? Why do you need to do that in a electoral? Especially, I would think that he doesn't have to do it, but especially in an electoral period. I mean, he really doesn't have to do it.
It's just showing off.
Well, that's a different debate than the meeting happening.
No, the meeting happening is okay.
Right?
I think the timing is not great because it's the end of the candidate, so it feels very late to me, to be very fair. And it's also electoral period. So I mean, still the meeting taking place, it's very much fine. But then Sutowski doesn't have to give this interview and say that Magnus would like to change the format or something like that. I mean, I don't think it's just wrong.
I fully agree with Jan. Of course, Djokovic should not say no to talking with Magnus. That would be absurd in a way. It's just that I think that the online profiling by Sutowski, but also, well, I don't think FIDE should take a very definite decision on that. I think such should be left up to a Congress when the mandate is running out like this. But that goes for the other changes. I mean, they made changes to the sort of open candidates cycle, and they made changes to the female here extremely late. I think that these are events that will all happen after the elections. It's strange to bound a new administration. It's just a bad democratical style, in my opinion.
All right, we're not yet at the FIDE rant. So let's first talk about Magnus and our boy Anish in
No, but
Madrid.
let's first just last think about that. So you guys think Magnus is going to play or not? Yes or no? Jan,
I think no.
Peter?
Well, I mean, I have been saying it all the time that one should listen to what he says
did
and
you
such.
change your mind? So you said no. Yeah, okay.
I still say no, yeah.
I will say yes because I'm the optimistic guy of the. After someone has to be optimistic, so let's see. Yeah, so please tell us about our friends Anish and Magnus in Madrid. You saw both of them; they looked very happy.
Yeah, Magnus, I saw the first night I arrived. Let's make this about me as usual. I have a very tough life, so I had to catch a flight at 7 a.m. from Hamburg, which I did, but as usual, I packed a little late, so there was no point sleeping before. Then I arrived here at 11, had to wait till 2 until I could get into the hotel room. Then from 3 till 9:30, did commentary with Judit. And then I went to the birthday party of this guy, David Martinez, which was next door, and I was very tired. I thought I would stay for like half an hour. But then, randomly, the world champion, Magnus Carlsen, arrives at a random birthday party in a random suburb of Madrid in a random Irish pub.
Wow.
So Magnus showed up. Was great to see him. He's clearly all over town having a good time. And then on the next day, they had this blitz tournament. Well, Magnus, he did all kinds of stuff. I guess I didn't follow him around. But they had this blitz tournament in the chess club here, which was won by Anish, 7.5 out of 8. Strong performance. I'm not sure how happy Magnus was about it, but he seemed to be enjoying himself. Talked a lot with Anish. They seem on excellent terms, which I'm sure is great news for Laurent, that there's no tension there. And yeah, overall, the city's been burning with chess fever. It's beautiful.
Yeah. No, good. I mean, I was a bit upset, of course, that Anish beat Magnus in the Blitz tournament. That was very upsetting. But I don't know, yeah. Yeah, good. Good. Peter?
Good.
No, I don't have much to add. I also saw the Anish against Magnus Blitz game, and I generally liked it. I thought Magnus was outplaying completely. I didn't see the first move, so I was a bit interested what Magnus's first move actually was, in a way.
I couldn't see it from board 10. It was hard to get a clear view.
Yeah, I understand. No, just you saw some kind of I don't know, headshot Sicilian style kind of structure or whatever. No, I don't know what it was exactly, so I was a bit puzzled what it was. But I think Jerry Magnus played a great game and was outplaying him positionally, but then of course he got mated at some point, and that kind of hurt. But still, he seemed to have a good time, was my impression and such. Even find, as you said, to
Very
bring
much
it back to FIDE things, to have social visits and such. So, I mean, sounded good. Yeah, no, I don't have much to add. I think maybe at some point people started attacking Nakamura on Twitter before he had a very important game. That maybe I thought was not extremely impressive, but else all good, I would say.
But it's allowed to ignore Twitter before a very important game. If you really
I know,
want to.
but
I don't
at
think
least
put that much stress on him.
I generally try not to offend people on Twitter. the day when they have an important game. Yeah. If you cut this one, it's gonna sound wrong. But
Okay, yeah, exactly. That was it. Another half sentence coming. I laughed too early.
Because else it might be seen as inexact. But I thought generally more or less how the etiquette is that somehow people who has a very important game you somehow leave in peace. Unless they start engaging.
But I think one harmless tweet by Magnus, he obviously didn't expect Hikaru
I was
to show
definitely
up
not going.
I'm busy.
I'm talking at the.
But Alireza
I'm not gunning at Magnus. That would be against everything I stand for. I was gunning at the Anish.
Ah, of course.
So.
Of course. So Magnus can
He
do it.
He did it later. So.
Okay. Apologies.
This was a weak moment
him.
for you, Jan. I'm sorry.
Apologies.
Yeah. No, I lost the touch now.
Yeah, but he was the
What
first
else do
one.
we
No, yeah, it's fine. I mean, Naka went to the park, to play some blitz after he drew Nepo in 5 minutes. So he was the first one to start all of that. So.
Also, come on, it's just a bit of banter. It's not like he can't prepare or it's costing him the evening to reply to a tweet or not to reply.
So what's next? It's Vladimir Kramnik statement of moral degradation because he got flagged in a weekend tournament on chess.com. It's a funny statement actually. It's really, I mean,
young people nowadays, they just have no morals. Now that they use the clock in blitz in rapid games, even in 10-minute games, they play with the clock. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Show some respect.
Yeah, and poor
Kramnik would never have done that.
Poor Vladdy, I can imagine. I'm really lousy with the mouse, but I think I'm really slow. I mean, with the mouse, and I get flagged on a regular basis. But I can imagine I'm much faster than Vladimir. Poor Vladimir with 1 minute on the clock against a 16 years old kid from Uzbekistan who has 10 seconds and he gets flagged. I mean, that must be...
It was Keimer, no?
Sorry?
My boy Keimer.
It was Keimer.
I think it was my boy Keimer.
Yeah, but Keimer is, I'm sure he's 10 times faster than Vladimir.
No,
I mean, there is no...
Also, Keimer is sort of an incredibly sweet and sympathetic person with impeccable morals.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the perfect guy to use as the picture boy for youth as no morals.
That was my...
But to each their own.
I genuinely think it's a very interesting clash that... I'm also, I'm even a bit older than Kramnik, right? So I think we were used to seeing like these things as immoral, while now it's seen as completely fine, and this is very interesting.
But it's never been. I think the only change really is that rook versus rook or rook three, you make a draw in a blitz game usually. That has completely changed now. It's fine flagging there. I think that culture has changed. But to play on in a lost position, do you want them to resign when you have 30 seconds?
Well, I think Kurt Hansen was playing a tournament on Norwegian television after having played for 10 years. And I think Ian Tye just flagged him. And Kurt Hansen thought, okay, it was wrong, while others just thought it's completely normal. I think it's a generational thing, and you can argue that... I think none of them are wrong, but we just have to agree what's right in the beginning. Because, well, if you can't do it, nobody should do it. If you can do it, everybody should do it. It's part of the game. So it's sort of...
But there are rules. You have 10 minutes for the game. You have to make all your moves within them. If you don't, and you don't have time on the clock,
exactly.
It's not like we have to agree on anything. Like
no, I'm sure I can find some video of Kramnik playing Armageddon. I remember in these tournaments where the pieces were flying, and they are trying to... Come on, what is different? It's Armageddon.
Why is it different? It's exactly the same. It's a lost position. You should resign out of this.
And pieces are flying. They are playing till the last second. They are flagging each other. Yeah. I mean, okay, come on.
Yeah.
It's always the same.
I generally think that it's easier if there's no such thing as moral when you play, that this is the rules, and then that's just it, and get used to it. I mean...
I think everybody agrees now, like, you can do whatever. Yeah. I think the codex has changed a bit, like I said, like flagging in drawn positions, but the argument you shouldn't play on in a less position, that never existed. Like, if your opponent has little time, of course...
And I think also, you're right about that. Of course, you are never forced to resign. That should be obvious. Yeah. But also, well, I think it's easier to handle like this. I mean, well, that's also... Well, there is situations, for instance, let's say... If there is no increment in the final time pressure, if you have 1 second left, you make a move and you press the clock while your pieces are lying down. Well, according to rules, you should not press the clock. But any kind of
it's plus EV.
It's plus EV to press the clock and then take the argument afterwards, because the arbiters will not necessarily forfeit you. And this is the problem.
Online, of course.
Sorry?
But
No,
online
but
is not
I
an issue,
mean,
right?
just that
We're
it's
talking about
simpler. Well, you shouldn't have rules that forces you to behave badly to have proper EV. So it's much simpler to just to say everything is allowed. You can win on time. So time becomes just a factor like this. It's just much easier to handle instead of somehow having some weird moral things that we all seem to have our own interpretations of. Then it's just easier to say.
Yeah, also those other rules,
Sorry?
right? Those other rules, time
Yeah,
is a part
exactly.
of the game.
I mean,
You
that's
can
just-
also use your 10 minutes on the first
Yeah.
8 moves to get an advantage. Probably a part of what
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
Sasha, if you are listening to us, it's not a good strategy maybe, but yeah, okay. If you like it, just do it.
Whatever works for Sasha.
Yeah.
On that subject, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay, we're an hour in. I can tell
the main topic,
Peter's getting anxious.
fight for...
There's a tournament of the stars.
Yeah,
Sorry?
that's what I meant.
no, okay, Tournament of the Stars. Before the fight for chess topic. What's wrong with FIDE? Okay, please, go ahead. It's part of the FIDE
Is it?
stuff. I would think so.
To some extent, but sure.
Yeah?
Well, I mean, there is a tournament in Russia called Tournaments of the Stars, which is Karpov, Kayakin, Grishuk, and Morozevich. And, well, it's I think, non-rated rapid event, but played at the same time as, I think, Moscow Open, and I think partly organized by the Russian Chess Federation. And, well, of course, the controversial thing is that Kayakin and Karpov is participating, especially Kayakin, because he has a 6-month ban, I think, but only from rated events from bringing the game into disrepute. So, well, I can ask you, is it reasonable that tournaments exist that Kayakin are playing during his ban? And is it reasonable that players like Grishuk and Morozevich is playing? And for instance, Grishuk has, signed an anti-war statement and such.
That's very weird for me to see Grishuk participating. Is Kayakin playing? I mean, I remember when Federer was banned for cheating for 3 years by FIDE, he could still play some rapid events in France, which were not federated. I don't think FIDE can do much about that. It's about local organizer to decide. But he could play, and during his ban, I even played some games against him because, I was not going to forfeit from the tournament. I mean, it was a weird situation. Of course, it was not the same kind of invitational tournament than that one. So it's very weird from Sasha to play, but in a way, he has nowhere to play, no Olympiad, nothing. So it's also sad that he cannot play at all. So I don't know. It's a weird situation again.
Yeah, no, Kayakin's behavior, like making fun of people being brutally attacked and murdered and everything that came after that, I found incredibly despicable. The ban is what it is, but I'm not sure we can really make it FIDE's problem if they have some private rapid event. And I'm sure Peter has researched that there are ties to whatever. But yeah, I was more surprised that Grishuk partook. But yeah, other than that, I don't have much on it. Like, whatever.
Peter?
No, I mean, I understand the complexity of it and such. Well, I think generally it's a problem that Kayakin is going to appear in something that obviously going to be a PR show in Russia, and sort of creates the atmosphere that Kayakin is still able to play chess in Russia. And obviously I dislike that the Russian Chess Federation is part of it, as they are a member of FIDE and should generally be in line with enforcing this. Well, I mean, imagine if it was Igor Rausis who played an event like this. Would we be fine with that? I hope not. And I think...
An unrated rapid event?
I don't know. I mean, well, if the Latvian Federation had a event with Igor Rausis, I think we would be outraged. I mean, it would...
He showed up at rapid tournaments.
I don't think he was particularly welcome and such.
He was not welcome, and he had a different name.
That would be my hunch and such. No, it's complicated, but I think it's something that should be spoken about in the open generally and such. There's no doubt about it, and well, it sort of gives an idea of the complexity of these things, how they should be handled. It's also like, well, one argument for having Grishuk play in Belgrade was that Russian players could speak out against the war, but it's also problematic if they speak out against the war and then they go home and play against Kayakin and such, in my opinion. So I think it's complicated, no doubt.
All right.
So now the main topic
Complicated
of the
this.
podcast, yeah. Into we got completely tricked by Peter. So what are you going to fix in FIDE, Peter? They were a brand new.
No. Before Peter can get into it, I have a complaint.
Oof.
The problem is it will arrive too late, but the closing ceremony of the candidates is tonight at 8 p.m. And somehow, FIDE, you still didn't manage to send me any invitations. Like, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. At the time of recording, unfortunately, will be too late because it's coming out. This show is coming out tomorrow. But yeah, that's what's wrong with FIDE this week. Like, and I don't want to pay for them. Peter, is that acceptable? Is that a reasonable demand? I don't know how stuff works.
It's not answer.
lost
I will
Peter.
tell you. So what you were excited about this closing ceremony? The free champagne, or how does?
Of course,
yeah.
I'm sure there will be some nice speeches, nice atmosphere. You get to see all the players.
Wow.
Free booze. What's not to like?
Yeah, that's true. Did we lose Peter?
I'm not sure.
I hit the. I was coughing, so I hit the cough button. I just didn't turn it on. You might have missed a couple of snide remarks and such. Well, I can
That's a
see
great
that
pity,
we are
I'm
very
sure.
different. I'm trying to stay away from closing ceremonies and such. So
Yeah, you're also trying to stay away from the chess world. Everybody's in Madrid, but you're not. You should come. It's time.
again, I work for the world champion. This is the candidates. We have the privilege of staying away. I think is the point. Yeah.
Where you also
Well, he didn't.
work in a campaign for FIDE presidency. All the movers and shakers.
Yeah, but you know that candidates are not supposed to appear with FIDE employees, right? And also, well, again, it becomes like there's this famous story.
Are you a FIDE employee?
No, there is this famous
No, but
story.
there is no
You can
risk.
come here,
There is no
campaign.
risk to have a selfie with Emil, no?
I think like 15 years ago or something like this, there was this interview with Ivanchuk that why you're not playing the candidates. He says, well, you know, I'm very busy. I have this tournament invitation. I have this tournament and this tournament. At some point, the journalist says, but well, you didn't qualify. And I can say, like, I can come up with a lot of reasons, but I was not invited to go there. So I think that's the
Neither
yeah.
was I. Just get a ticket. I wasn't invited to the
I
closing
somehow
ceremony.
still
It was
think
very
that me
sad.
crashing the event would be weird in a way, but yeah. Well,
Anyway,
also,
it didn't
I
happen. It's
honestly
great
don't
that
think
you
that
could have
they
talked.
like me, and that's before that. I think for the World Championship closing ceremony, I mean, well, we all have a seat with our name on, and most of Team Carlsen was up at the front with the VIP, but the very back was my name. But then I didn't have to sit with all.
But how's it gonna be once you're in
Yeah,
charge?
I didn't have to sit with,
Will you still
sit
stay
with all
away?
the oligarchs. You might not see me at all, yeah. So
No, but
Yeah.
I hope you will.
I will be
you
transparent
get-
yet invisible. So yeah.
You should get 3 seats in all openings, all closing ceremony for the chicken chess club. Please just book.
I
Yeah.
agree.
book.
Couldn't
Chicken.
agree more.
We put a chicken on the set and we go there, or maybe not. We decide in the last minute, but it's there.
Yeah, I really. Well, you should understand
See,
that.
even my attempts at corruption, they don't work, Peter. All I want is some free tickets. I'm not managing.
I understand. Yeah. You see, again, yeah. I don't know what to respond to that, but I sincerely
Okay.
hope that you manage to find a way into this important party of yours tonight.
Thank you.
So you have.
That means a
so-
lot. I'll take some selfies if I get there and send them to you, so you can use them.
I'm
against
even
me
willing to tweet it now if you would like me to do. That's
later. I don't have any yet,
no.
but I'll get hold
No,
of
but
some
let's
pictures
praise.
for you. Promise.
I want to praise Peter for his website, fightforchess.com, of his campaign. I mean, it's not him who did it, but I mean,
Obviously.
it's amazing.
Is it fightforchess.com or fightforchess.com?
I think I will say
Like you're fighting for chess, right? Not for chess.com.
we're fighting for chess. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good one, but yes. No, I was about to say you can be like Ding Liran answered about how he should name pronounce. He says you can do it whatever you want to Rajapov. Here.
No, you said I don't hear any
No,
difference
yeah.
between your Liran and Lisa.
Yeah, fair enough. But thanks a lot, Laurent. I mean,
So very
well,
impressive. The list is just very successful. I mean, they look very successful. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't know any names, but
then check them out. I mean,
was-
that's
it's good actually.
the point. We are gonna bring in a lot of new,
Yeah.
reputable guys, and that's will make the chess world better. There's no doubt about that, in my opinion.
I hate to admit it, I was positively surprised from the look of the site
Right.
and the team.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah?
I can hear. We don't have anything to talk about if it becomes positive, right? But yes.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
but I genuinely think.
I can criticize Barish Pullit's tight, but that would be a bit.
Yeah, but you managed to get it in now, right? Yeah. So
yeah, sure. We can cut it out.
Yeah,
that would just be wrong.
No, but to be very honest, I was really expecting a crappy Facebook page, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I'm very impressed.
It's not like I think we have a better program than any of the others. I think we have a better program than the rest combined. If anything, I think this election campaign is weird. That is extremely little about any kind of topics in a way. Well, that
was there a program? I didn't see the program. I just saw the pictures. There's text.
There is actually something called. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody reads programs. I mean, come on.
No.
It's just about.
To be fair, we have hit it, but I think you get this thing that is we're not hiding that one. It's called program. You click on it, then you get the program.
That's amazing.
You just put the mouse and it comes down there. It's like 6 different things, but okay. Well, now your praise matters a bit less to me because you apparently haven't checked it that carefully. But even so,
of course not.
No, we just saw the pictures in the side look.
Good. Well, I told you that we would have some positive.
What is the program? Since we haven't read it just for us, could you sum it up? Maybe 1-2 keywords.
Yeah, I could.
To key concepts.
Transparency, yeah? No.
Okay, excellent. Do we want more Russian influence in chess?
Yeah, no, if you haven't paid attention, then I think ideally less, I would say, but any kind of political influence in such. We should be a reputable and neutral organization, free of other interests than just chess. That's the idea of fight for chess, means that we fight for chess, not for something else.
Fight for closing
exactly,
ceremony
or dress codes or whatever.
That's
yes, something like that.
White sneakers in chess tournaments.
Yeah, if it was up to me, that should be a key thing. But again, I'm only the deputy, so you'll take it up with Andre if you really want to.
So that's your new line. I don't have an opinion on that. Take it up with Andre. I'm only the deputy.
No,
we want transparency.
Not fully. I don't think that I can be accused of saying too little so far. On the contrary, I've heard the opposite. It's clear that I'm not running for president. I mean, well, it will be like any other normal sort of presidential race. It's obvious that he's the one who is the one that's going to run the show, and not me. And I think I'm pretty used to that role, so that's fine.
Is he here in Madrid?
No, he's not. He's in Los Angeles, I think. So no, I don't think he was invited. Nice.
But it's a big chess tournament. You don't need to be invited. You can just show.
Excuse me?
He's not invited.
Are you coming to the Olympiad? You know, chess Olympiad with some election in the middle.
I'm not playing or anything. If I come there as a delegate, I hope so. But there is
it's certain.
Sorry, it's not clear. No.
Mm-hmm. But that's news. You hope so. So there's a chance.
There is a chance, of course. I mean, but
that's great.
I cannot guarantee it. But Andre is going to be there for basically the whole time. So again, our main man. So. He will be there.
Is he a chicken?
I'll introduce myself.
Sorry?
Is he a chicken? I mean, like, can we have a drink with him?
If Andre is a chicken, I mean, he's running alone against a whole FIDE establishment. It doesn't strike me as chicken.
So he's not one of us?
Yeah. No, but I think he's a nice guy and such. He might,
Can we buy him a drink, or is that violating any electoral rules?
You can, but then I think to make an example out of it, we have to not give you any sort of appeals committee's post up. But you'll not get that anyway, so I don't think...
Yeah, but we want...
Why not? Why not? We're qualified. Transparency. Why are we being neglected?
Yeah,
no,
but
you
we
will,
want,
of
anyway,
course, have
we
the
want
right
only exotic places for appeals committee.
Yeah.
And so we can have... Yeah, we will buy him a drink. Let's see. And talk
I mean,
about
everybody...
Southeast Asia
Everybody down talk, but it's actually a very important point of our campaigns that, well, people will have to apply for these things. I mean,
exactly. But you said we're not getting them anyway. Why can't we
apply?
No,
that's just because I had this probably wrong assumption that someone even more qualified would apply, but again, that could be wrong. Well, I mean...
For the appeals committee, who's
it's
more
true,
qualified?
You actually have a juridical background, so, yeah.
Very much so. Chess grandmaster, keen sense of fairness, transparency, expert on white sneakers. Anyway, you'll have it all in writing with my CV.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, okay. And what was it about? I saw you tweeted about pre-sanctions for So for Djokovic, he's on some list of not yet sanctioned, but maybe sanctioned. How does that work?
Well, that is the Yermak-McFaul group, which is Yermak is the head of the Zelensky administration, and McFaul, he's from the US, had several positions there, and they are making a list of persons sort of who they recommend for sanctions, and they included Djokovic for that. So that's, I mean.
That doesn't mean he will be.
It doesn't mean
sanctioned
that he
they
will
want
be,
him to
but
be
that
sanctioned.
means that he is on sort of their suggested list. And well, as I said, it's not someone random. Yermak, well, you can check him out. He's closely connected. Well, he's the administrative head of the president's office. I will not take a sort of. Don't correct me on if this is slightly wrong, but that's basically what it is in that sense.
So how many persons on the list to see if the requests are reasonable or not?
I forgot the actual number and such. I had more.
I mean, like
sort
it's 1,100.
I definitely it's thousands. I'm sure.
Thousands.
I think,
yeah.
Well, I think also general the target is to have thousands sanctions and such. But again, I made a long Twitter thread going through all their arguments. They have like six to eight different cases and such, and why is it that he should be sanctioned and such. And no, for me they make a convincing case. You could argue I'm biased and such for a number of reasons, but I think it's clear that it's mainly some interviews from 2015, 2018, but also from 2022 after the war and such, and sort of some, I think, both strong and well documented accusations and such, which if you have half an hour, I'm willing to go through them in great details.
No, it's okay. It's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
And how about your winning chances? I mean, people, we are all players, chess players, and we care about, at the end of the day, it's about winning. So are you winning chances better than, let's say, Magnus playing the match against Nepo, or how do you evaluate that? Now that I'm sure you are in touch with many federations.
Mm-hmm. I mean, evaluating it is strange. It's like when you work for Magnus, I don't try to evaluate. I try to do my job as well as possible. And it's also very dynamic. I mean, well, for instance, does Djokovic get sanctioned or not? Of course, that matters a lot, I would say, and such. I mean, so...
Well, let's be objective. He won't be sanctioned till... I mean, it's likely that in the 1 month's time we have till election, he probably won't be sanctioned.
It's not a given, in my opinion, but it could be and such. So, well, again, I think they have an obvious strategic advantage, as I have complained about many times, that they are using the feeder apparatus to campaign and such. But I mean, as you said, I think we have a good website. We have found a good team. Well, the team is still going to be bigger and bigger and such. But to say that we're favorites is probably too strong. But I mean, well, I think that we are doing it the way we would like to do and trying to present our programs and such. And I think it's obviously right. And then it's it's more about trying to build a feeder that you really would like to have and try to convince people this is the way to go and such. But obviously, we don't have like 190 votes secured yet.
Okay, guys, I have to go. I have some partying with FIDE officials to do. It's been great talking to you. Do we have chicken of the week? I don't like that category,
really?
So I got nothing. Let's make Anish. The
No,
chicken
I will get
Because
you.
Anish.
I wanted to nominate, of course, Naka, who didn't play for wins against Nepo, but
course.
you are even backing him, saying that it's absolutely normal.
He's
would
just
have been
good at
stupid
math.
to play and so on.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take
sorry,
it.
Ian, but you are my chicken of the week.
Wow. So Anish is mine? Okay, I don't have a good argument, but I can take him. But yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
always a good one.
Okay, Jan has to leave. Bye-bye. Oh.
Great pleasure talking to you. Till next
Enjoy
time.
the
Bye.
closing.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.